Link engaged.
Visit us at TeamSpeak.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. Here it is, game number 5, the final game of the TeamSpeak TL Open number 21 between TSLHeart, sticking with blue this time around. He is our Terran player at the top left-hand corner, Shakur's Plateau. His opponent down here at the bottom right, one Evil Genius's EG.IdrA, spawning as our green Zerg. So here we have it, Orb, game number 5.
And can you believe it? We're on cross positions again. Oh my gosh. I feel like, oh my god, do we have some kind of like map rigging going on here? I mean, obviously not, but EG.IdrA, I feel, getting very lucky with these spawns repeatedly every single game, getting that cross position spawn. Definitely going to be ideal for him, so he can actually get that much more time available to him to be able to defend. If he were, of course, if we were at horizontal spawns on this map, he would have to worry very much so about drops coming in from the side. Not going to be as much of an issue this game. Would take a lot more kind of walking around the edges of the map for Heart, which would delay drops quite a bit. Now, on a map like Shakur's, we have a small ramp leading out from the natural. I mean, we have seen Heart go for Hellion expansion regardless of a bad map positioning like that, but I do feel like on a map like this would probably be one of the worst maps in the pool to actually go for a Hellion expansion. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see something different from Heart here.
Yeah, I imagine we are going to be, because one or two spine crawlers right at the front of that tiny ramp like you were talking about can completely shut down any sort of Hellion push, or I've seen a lot of players go after the Evolution Chamber spine crawler wall into the natural, so I mean that works pretty well. A lot harder to finish something like that off, unless you were going to do something like that Korean-style Marine Blue Flame Hellion timing attack with a medevac and just drop into the main. I don't think he's going to go after any sort of a quick Hellion expand build, but I've seen myself proved wrong on a number of occasions. We'll see if this is any exception.
I think it will be an exception. I don't think it'll be proved wrong here, as we don't actually see gas on the way just yet from Heart, so it looks like he's been going for a 1-Rax, a gasless expansion here. Obviously, could conceivably be something like some, 7 racks all in, but definitely going to be expecting in a Game 5 of a tournament here to see just that really fast command center from Heart. Looks like on a map like this, really just wants to get his macro up and running, which is very understandable. That natural is very easy to defend. You can set up a wall off at that ramp with just a couple buildings. So I definitely agree with this play from Heart. It will allow him to get his macro up and running as soon as possible, but that being said, of course, the downside is he can't be as aggressive. So if EG.IdrA scouts that out, figures out that his opponent's going for a gasless expansion here, he'll know that he won't be taking any aggression for quite a long time, and he'll just be able to drone up for, 10 minutes? A long time in this game.
Yeah, certainly. No, he can. And it's going to be really easy to secure subsequent expansions as well. Even if he doesn't want to take the expansion that's wide out in the open inside of the pocket next to the main, he can very easily split the map in half and just start going up along the right side of the right side of the map. So I think EG.IdrA is going to be in a just fine position if he can force this into a macro game. Looks like TSLHeart actually dropping down double gas, though, before any other unit-producing structure. So I do think we're going to see double factory here pretty soon. He certainly has the ability to switch into some other build, but that seems most likely at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I have every once in a while seen Terran players rush that double gas and then just try to get some add-ons for their barracks and rush up to some medevacs and go for that infantry-style play. And actually, maybe that's what we're going to see here from Heart, as he did just add on 2 additional barracks. This is pretty strange. Sometimes players like to just get that double gas up as soon as possible so they can get their stim, combat shields, etc. started just, as soon as possible. But probably, yeah, we will see that factory going down, so we're probably going to see Heart rush up to medevacs here. I would not be surprised. Might just use that double gas to get out as many tanks as possible. But maybe he'll just use a lot of drop play, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea on a map like this.
Yeah, very true. And TSLHeart doing his best to prove me wrong is the curse of the caster, but that's all right, no problem.
Yeah, of course.
And here we have actually a second factory being added as well.
There you go.
Okay, kind of a different unit composition than I'm used to seeing. So didn't lead with double factory, but went into it after he decided to put up 2 more barracks afterward. So maybe going after that, something that I've been seeing out of some European players, just going for very, very cheap throwaway units, lots of Hellions, lots of Marines, and then just putting up a bunch of cheap throwaway units that he's able to remax off of several times and just continue to push and give pressure. But I don't know. This will be interesting. I have my eye on this build.
It's possible he could be going for something like Marauder Hellion here. He does have double tech labs on his barracks as opposed to double reactors. He does have a tech lab already on his first factory. I'm curious to see, is he going to get tanks, or is he going to use it for that blue flame? It could conceivably go for that Marauder Hellion composition here, but it doesn't look like it. He is just starting Marines right now, probably just going to get Stim, Combat Shield, but he is going to get Blue Flame, though, so that's interesting. Hellion and just Marine going to be going for some Blue Flame Hellion aggression here. Probably going to be seeing a starport relatively soon as, on a map like this, it's going to be very hard to get Blue Flame Hellions actually into your opponent's base without the use of drops.
Yes, interesting. Okay, so let's actually take a look back over at IdrA's side of things. He is throwing down the Evolution Chamber. He was going for Lair Tech. He did have a Spinecrawler coming up for a pretty significant period of time, but decided to cancel that. I'm curious to see what prompted him to cancel that. He hasn't really seen anything that's given away Heart's Tech quite yet. So, anyway, Baneling Nest following this up as well. So, IdrA may be going back towards that Baneling Mute build we've seen out of him during the set.
It might be. He went for an extremely quick Lair. Lair already finishing right now before the 8-minute mark, and he went for one of the fastest quad gases I've ever seen. He already had his fourth gas started there at like the 7th-minute mark in this game, which is kind of ridiculous. So IdrA looks like he is going to be rushing up to that Spire. Spire has already started, so he's just trying to get the fastest mutas of all time here, hoping that perhaps Heart will not be prepared. Now, Heart will have a lot of Marines to deal with this, but just going to have Hellions out of those factories, so might actually be in a little bit of trouble. Might get caught off guard by this timing, just since the mutas are so much earlier than most rushes to mutas would be for, I feel like, most Zerg players, especially in Korea.
Yeah, certainly. And IdrA, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting because I don't know if he's going to do basically the same idea as what we saw the last time he did this when he went for the super early mutas, if he is just going to try and play the contained game or if he's going to try and catch units out of position and deny reinforcements. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit up in the air right now. Heart could make another very powerful timing attack, though, that's able to get in there before any of this tech is really realized. He is producing double tanks now and quad Marines. He's got those very critical upgrades just about to finish, so he certainly has the potential behind this Hellion Ball, continuing to deny these creep tumors as we see the scan going down now, and he's taking out a couple of them, to make a very, very powerful attack here soon.
Yeah, those Hellions are going to help out so much as well. 6 Blue Flame Hellions. You really got to think about, when somebody comes forward with a Marine tank push, generally the number one problem they end up with is Banelings. Unless you have godly Marine splits, the Banelings are what end up taking out your Marines, not the Zerglings. So if you actually have Blue Flame Hellions in front of your tanks and Marines when you finally do come for that mid-game push, Hellions you've been using in the early game to deny creep, then all of a sudden that push becomes that much more effective because they also have Blue Flame Hellions killing off Banelings and Zerglings ridiculously quickly with that splash damage. But IdrA Spire already done with +1 on the way and only 3 mutas, of course. He is very starved for gas since he rushed it out so quickly. Sorry, 5 mutas done, 2 more on the way, so it will be a total of 7 thus far. But look at that, mutas are already out. They're taking out Hellions, but that did just kind of reveal them. He's obviously not able to catch up to these Hellions, so it was a little bit of a strange decision there to go engage the Hellions. Maybe he just wanted to get them out of the way. In fact, he did, so that he could get that drone out of his base and go take that third immediately.
Yep, but we do have the turret infrastructure already in place now for TSLHeart. He has his first 2 turrets just finishing, 1 more being finished next to his production structures inside of his main, and already those mutas are being forced away. So huge commitment and resources there to those first 9 or so, 11, actually now 11 he's about ready to get Mutalisks with that +1 to not have done any damage with them quite yet. TSLHeart playing very, very passive for the time being, wants to make sure that he's able to ward off any sort of pressure before he moves out. And here we go, now finally starting to make his way at least to the front of his ramp. We also have a bunker coming down for a little bit of additional protection. The mutas are getting in, doing a little bit of damage to the refinery. TSLHeart is not deterred, and he continues to move out to the middle of the map.
Looks like IdrA's just trying to keep forcing his army back to defend. Just a couple Marines going back to defend. He's going to send the rest of his army forward. Definitely a good move, so he can move forward and force IdrA to engage. IdrA just trying to delay him like he did in that game on Taldarium Altar, but he's not going to fall for it. Heart just continuing to move forward right now with a very scary-looking force. IdrA does have some nice creep spread and a lot of Banelings on the way, but he doesn't have that many Lings, that many Banelings, especially with the number of Marines and Blue Flame Hellions in there. So he's going to have a very efficient engagement. Needs to spread out his units if he wants to not die to this attack from Heart.
And the first Spinecrawler is about to go down. It looks like the Mutalisks are going to swing around from the side, but they run into a bunch of Marines. One Muta goes down, another is Yellow Barred. He didn't flank with any units from the right-hand side at the same time, and that's going to give Heart a little bit of confidence, and he starts to make his way forward, takes out another Spinecrawler, and kills an Overlord in the process, maybe trying to get IdrA to move out and attack his units or attack into that prepared siege tank position. IdrA does not bite, though, so Heart is going to continue moving his units up, waiting for these units from IdrA to make their way in.
Nice reaction times by both players there. I really love when I see a Terran player just stim some of the Marines. Obviously, you don't want to be over-stimming, wasting all of your medevac energy, but stimming a couple. But here comes the engagement from EG.IdrA from all sides, moving the banelings in. Will they get the explosions they need, though? They're being target fired by the tanks. Oh, nice explosion there with that last baneling, but unfortunately, here come the reinforcements from Heart, and they are massive. There are a ton of tanks right here, 6 tanks.
Wow.
Moving forward, a lot of Marines, and still 2 medevacs, and EG.IdrA didn't kill off that much there. That being said, this army is mostly tanks. If you can actually take out the remainder of these Marines, the rest of these mutas will be able to clean up the rest of the tanks, Hellions, and medevacs. So he really just needs a good baneling engagement to actually take out those Marines, so he can get in there and clean up the rest of the forces with those mutas.
And Heart has been macroing this entire time. He has another base coming down. He has multiple barracks coming down. He's upgrading. He's producing units. He's keeping himself on supply blocks. So his push has been very, very effective so far. And EG.IdrA has been forced to completely cease droning whatsoever. In fact, he's moving his units to the middle of the map. So EG.IdrA may be looking for a little bit of a counterattack here in a bit. There's already a pretty good number of Marines that are sitting near the natural expansion. So we'll see what he's able to do. At the same time, TSLHeart is going to take out EG.IdRA's third. But here come the rest of the units into TSLHeart's his natural. These tanks are going to siege up. There's not much anti-air defense. It looks like all of those SCVs are being brought into mass repair. They might keep it alive. No, the bunker finally goes down, but not without EG.IdrA suffering some losses, and he has still not cleaned up this huge push from Heart at his third.
Yeah, it looks like he's almost trying to do another type of a base trade scenario here, just trying to take out anything he can from Heart before Heart does the damage to him. But Heart's moving forward with a very scary force into the natural of EG.IdrA, and as he gets set up on that ramp, it's going to get more and more difficult for EG.IdrA to actually attack into that. As he gets set up on that ramp, there's just going to be no flank paths, nothing of that sort for EG.IdrA to really take advantage of. That being said, the Marines are a little out of position. He might be able to bring his mutas, go for the engagement. The Zerglings are coming in from the back. He's trying to get us around. All he needs to do is take out these Marines. He needs his mutas on the Marines right now. They're taking out the tanks. He really should be target firing. There we go, on the Marines. And he will be able to kill off the rest of this force and equalize. But he lost so many drones in there. Look at 29 drones killed total over the course of this game.
Wow.
Right now it's 51 SCVs to 28 drones. It's certainly not looking good for EG.IdrA, despite being able to take out that army from Heart.
No, not at all. And TSLHeart's going to be able to drop down his third here pretty quick as well. He's got the orbital command inside his base. He's just been using that for mules thus far, and his mining still looks very, very, very good. Looks like EG.IdrA is going to try and swing back in with all of his mutas one more time. Is he going to meet some resistance? No, it looks like he's going to go after this third base, try and draw some of these units away. A stim is spent. One muta goes down, but those mutalisks have been pushed away. The Marines have done their job. TSLHeart, though, he is still continuing to produce a ton of units. Heart has been doing a very good job macroing this entire time and should be able to sit down that next orbital command if he so desires. Looks like he's just going to produce a couple of turrets next to that for the time being, though.
He's also at 1-1 upgrades on his infantry. These mutas only at 1-0, and of course the Lings as well only at 1-0. I believe, did they actually finish 2-0? No, they finished 2-0. Okay, so they're going to be relatively even on upgrades here. Nice snipe on that medevac. He's actually picking off a couple Marines in the main of Heart as well. And EG.IdrA is actually just doing exactly what he needs to do right now, but he does have to be very careful. If he loses any of these mutas, it just gets very scary very quickly. But I really like that he's just keeping Heart contained right now. Heart is just waiting up to build another huge Terran death ball before he moves out. And EG.IdrA just needs to delay that as long as possible so that third base can actually get saturated and he can try to get some type of econ lead here.
And those mutas looked like they were trying to move their way in one more time, but unfortunately not going to break against Heart's forces. Heart had just too much sitting there. What do we have coming up for EG.IdrA, though? We do have the production hatch in play. We also have the third base has been reestablished. At that pocket expansion. He has not made any attempt to go back after that normal expansion over at the 2 o'clock position. Scan goes down in the middle of the map to make sure there's no bailing mines, and it looks like Heart is going to establish a very, very nice defensive position here at that pocket expansion of his own while loading up a drop at the same time. And if that's not cut off by mutas, he should be all right. Oh, those mutas were flying up to the 12 o'clock position for a while. Thought they may be able to catch that in transit.
Yeah, he's actually got 2 drops queued up right now, one to the left of the main, about to start moving in now. Unfortunately, EG.IdrA actually does not have any overlords over there. Most Zergs would leave an overlord watching that area, specifically since that's where drops are going to come from. So he's going to get double dropped. Heart, assuming that EG.IdrA would retake that third up there, actually dropping his Marines over there, but of course we'll find there's nothing to drop. But here comes Heart. He's going to be able to drop the actual third, or maybe the main here. Meanwhile, EG.IdRA's mutas are out of position. They're trying to deny the third of Heart, but there are already turrets and Marines in position, so he's not going to be able to do much. But look at that, the hatchery goes down from EG.IdrA over there for the fourth and gets killed instantly. So 300 minerals just down the drain, but luckily those mutas do clean up the drop in his main without taking too much damage. So that will be good for him. Of course, losing the 300 minerals at that 4th is never ideal.
Yes.
But at least he didn't lose a lot of drones. He didn't lose an actual expansion that was already up. He didn't lose a lot of tech, etc. So Idris is, I mean, he's behind. Certainly, it's 130 food to 140 food. And he's even on bases with a Terran player. He's definitely behind. There's no doubt about it. But he's certainly not lost this game. It's certainly not an insurmountable disadvantage.
Yeah, he certainly mitigated the damage from those drops. Well, I mean, besides that 300 resources you were talking about, I mean, that was absolute anti-timing for IdrA to put up that hatchery, so it went down without a chance to cancel it. So, also, I love that Heart has a Thor out now as well. A couple of Thors at his expansions are going to be able to shut down any sort of Muta harassment. On top of that, if these Mutas stack up, he can do a significant amount of damage. He catches about 5 or 6 with some splash damage, then the Mutas run away, and it looks like IdrA's going to swing it for a pretty big attack. The Banelings are rolling in as well, but they're getting chewed up, and a lot of them wasted themselves on the siege tanks. The rest go down. Just a few Mutas left. The Thor going to be able to deal with the rest, and I think IdrA's counterattack was shut down.
There it is.
Oh, he doesn't even GG. The rage quit. He is done.
Congratulations to Heart. That means he's going to be our victor here in the 21st Team Liquid Open. Very well done. He had a hard route through this tournament, the last remaining Korean hope, and he was able to take the victory. Now, in that last engagement, I mean, that's really what it all came down to. Granted, IdrA was behind at the time of that engagement, but yet again, I feel with just a little bit better unit control, he could have been in a better situation there. He did send all of his Zerglings and Banelings in from the top side of that cliff, and then the Marines just kited down to the bottom side towards IdrA's third. If he had sent some of the Zerglings down on the bottom side, perhaps that flank could have allowed him to prevent those Marines from kiting, and he would have been in a better position. Also, unfortunately, the big last group of Marines that Heart had that was running away from those Banelings almost was going to die. The Banelings were getting so close, and then the Banelings actually walked over to the side and avoided the Marines when they exploded. So just a couple tiny little minor details might have actually been able to allow IdrA to hold on and stay in that game a little bit longer. Who knows, if he would have just been too far behind to come back anyways, though. But, you really got to hand it to Heart. He played really well in that series.
Alas, there it is, though, and IdrA has been defeated. So congratulations to Team SCV's Life Heart, who does take the TL Open. So there we have it, guys, and hope you guys have enjoyed the production as well. It has been an absolute pleasure to cast with you, Orb, very much so. Thank you very much to everyone over at TL who let us cast this. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor over at TeamSpeak as well. Also, if you've enjoyed my casting, please do check out my stuff over at twitter.com/CatsPajamasSC2. I love and appreciate every follower I get. You can also check out the majority of my work is over at IGN.com/IPL. IPL is putting on a $100,000 tournament starting on October 6th in Atlantic City. I hope you will all be a part of that. For more information, check out IGN.com/IPL. And also, Orb, where can they find you? Because you are an excellent caster. It has been a blast casting with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Troy. I've really enjoyed casting with you. I got to say, I had not casted with you before, and I'd heard your casting before, but I had not heard a very large amount of it, but I very much enjoyed that as well, sir. It was so much fun, and we saw some really awesome high-level games as well, so major kudos and props, and thanks to Team Liquid for organizing the event, of course, as you said, thanks to TeamSpeak for sponsoring it. If you've liked my casting, even if you don't like my casting, please leave any constructive criticism in either my stream discussion thread, a PM, my Twitter, the tournament discussion thread, anywhere. It doesn't really matter. I will hopefully be able to find it. But if you do like my casting, please follow me on twitter.com/ORBTL, OrbTL, and you can keep up to date with any events that I'm casting as well. Please check out Esports Vision. Those of you that were familiar with IC Cup TV, check out the news post on Team Liquid if you haven't seen it already. We have dissolved that name and switched over to Esports Vision. So looking actually for new sponsors right now for that, but definitely check out the Korean Weekly that we've been casting. It has been a total blast. It's been really great seeing a lot of lesser known Korean players just really shining before they start to make their appearance in GSL and NASL, etc. So definitely check that out. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Without the fans, of course, these types of events would not be possible. So it's all thanks to you guys. And I believe that's about it. So we will see you next time, unless you have anything else to add, Cats.
No, I think I'm good to go. Thanks again to Team Liquid for letting us cast. You guys have been a great audience. We'll catch you later.